Welcome, everybody in the outdoor adventure community. This is See You Next Season podcast, episode 15. We're going to do a season 2024 wrap up year end here. And I guess we'll get it kicked off. I'm Matt. I'm here with this cat, Ian. And we're going to talk about some key trends quickly, and then go into just some of the preliminary, results of our survey, and then some of our recommendations. So, Ian, why don't you kick us off with some of the things we saw in 24?
All right. Yeah. First up, we saw a lot of movement on the visa front. There's a talent war going on for young working holiday people. There's Japan has just recently announced they're extending the visas to 2 years for a bunch of countries. Canada has been very generous to the Brits who are struggling to find work in Europe. Canada and Australia, they're really fighting it out to attract Brits to come and work on working holiday visas in those various countries. So, and yeah, we've got a great photo of Japan in the background. What a
Yep,
season they're
right
having!
there.
What if you're working the ski season in Hakuba now, you are in a whole, you're in a great spot. I mean, they are having an insanely good season. So, yeah, lot of hunting for talent, and that's across companies, districts, and also countries. So, we expect to see that trend continue for 2025. Do you want to yeah,
Yeah.
another one we're seeing is increased use of AI by job hunters. It's starting to become really prevalent, and it's not good for hiring managers because when resumes get pumped through the same AI software, they come out all the same. So it's going to be becoming increasingly difficult for employers to distinguish quality candidates from poor quality candidates.
I'm going to sit back too and keep watching that AI trend because I've seen at least like four or five companies just in the last few weeks on LinkedIn, which probably more relevant here, but um, just launching new AI hiring platforms. I have no idea where it's going or what kind of impact it's going to have. I mean, it's pretty clear to me the technology is not there at this point, but obviously we'll be keeping a close eye on it, but it's got to be a train wreck at this point.
Yeah, I mean, kids are probably are very, very good at using AI. If a company uses AI to help with their hiring process, kids are going to use AI to get around all those barriers that companies are putting up. What did you say the other day? Somebody builds a bigger wall,
Oh yeah, I
others build
mean, if you
ladders.
build a bigger wall, somebody's just going to build a bigger ladder or a deeper tunnel. So, I mean, which is kind of one of those key trends too with the whole resume blasting thing. But I think that's sort of related to AI. I think they're obviously using AI to generate resumes and then blasting them out, which obviously we'll get to with some of the survey results. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where that rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the hiring problems in the outdoor adventure industry start with resume blasting. It's like Gen Z just chuck them out everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, and the previous surveys that we did, we saw that 50% of people admitted to putting out resumes, applying for jobs that they weren't qualified for, or couldn't get visas for, or didn't have the necessary experience. So, yeah, that resume blasting is the source of a lot of huge problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously the social media reliance for recruitment, both by applicants and employers, that doesn't seem to have subsided much. Although I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on. There's a big Meta layoff coming up. I saw that came out yesterday or today. So I mean, and it seems like the tech sector is cutting a lot. I don't know what that's going to mean for a lot of these platforms. I don't know. We're just going to be kind of a wait and see, but I mean, there's been no shortage of people looking for work and housing on social media, which, if you listen to our podcast, our outdoor adventure community knows it's a train wreck. Don't do it. You're going to get hacked, your identity stolen. or end up without a job flying home after 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting figures coming out from our latest survey about recruiting on social media. So we'll get to that a bit later.
Yeah. I think one of the big things too is just, mobile workforce and the cost of living pressures with rent and flights. I don't see that subsiding. As far as 2025 goes, I think we're going to see more of the same, but again, probably an increase in reliance on AI and all of this stuff. Inflation is not going to improve. Um, yeah, it's just I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think we're already starting to see the scales tipping to the local mom and pop privately owned resorts. I mean, look at just the end of 24 here and all of the incidents and accidents in North America alone, just from Steamboat, Winter Park, Vail. I mean, it's just not good. And with places not staffing near 100%, I don't see how it's going to get any better. I think it's going to get worse, but there is going to be that shift, I think, to people go to Japan instead or start, frequenting the mom and pop local places.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on that inflation discussion. Sure, the headline inflation rates are going down, but that doesn't translate to ski towns and high-end beach resorts.
No,
The rents in those places aren't coming down like inflation's doing. The cost of flights is incredible at the moment. So yeah, you key expenses for seasonal workers is not dropping. It's if not, it's going up a lot faster than inflation. So that's just something to be wary of. Ski Seasonal workers are just not nearly as mobile as they used to be.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think, between inflation pressures and then, we talk a lot about the timing in job hunters and hiring managers when resorts and destination hiring, you know, locations and such are hiring and when people are looking. That's obviously been a glaring thing that has emerged from those survey results.
Yeah, basically, if you need to be hiring earlier to give your seasonal workforce a chance to actually plan, find accommodation, get their visas, etc., and get into town with a suitable amount of time to start work. We aren't. We think those trends are going to continue, and generally, you've got to start hiring earlier because kids are a lot less mobile. They can't just jump on a plane and get set up ready for a season of work.
Yeah. By the way, we should also mention, well, I guess we can finish here with you know, maybe you talk about real quick the quality of the talent pool once the season starts, how well that goes.
Um, yeah, we see it on social media. Just the once the season starts, the talent pool is just really poor. I mean, we're seeing some genuinely hopeless candidates who haven't planned. They don't have visas. They've made really, really late decisions to seek work in a ski resort or a beach resort, and people who have actually been fired from previous jobs and are now looking for a replacement job. We see they don't tell you they've been fired, but if somebody's in town, say for instance, hey, I'm in Courchevel and I'm looking for a job. I'm already in town and I've got my accommodation, and they're doing that in late December or early January. Chances are they've already been fired from a job. And to get fired in a ski town, you have to be a really poor worker because people need staff. So if you've been fired, you're a terrible worker generally. So yeah,
I.e.
you don't.
refer to season one about driving a Zamboni down the frontage road.
Yeah, yeah. You've basically if people who have been fired in a ski resort have really stuffed up. They're very poor quality staff, and you don't want to be looking for them. If they're on social media looking for jobs now, you
Yeah.
don't want to be chasing those people.
Yep. Well, we can jump into the survey results, but I do want to mention that the current survey we're doing is still live. I want to make sure we get that in there. For any of the outdoor adventure community listening, please go and take that survey because there's some great data coming out of it already, and we need you to contribute. So we'll throw that link up, right?
Yep, we will. There's great data, but there's some seriously scary data too that employers really should be paying attention to, and because business as usual is not gonna work for the following years. It's the trends are really not in your favor to keep your current hiring systems going.
Yep.
Should I
Yep.
start with some data?
Yeah, do it.
Right, let's go. The surveys we did are for the ski industry in particular, but they do translate. Some of the findings do translate to other adventure sectors as well. So here's data point number one: 69% of job hunters looking for jobs in ski towns are getting multiple offers, and the average number of the most likely number of job offers people get is three. So some are getting one and taking it. Others are getting three. A lot are getting four, five, and six. So yeah, it's just something to be very wary of. 25% of candidates are taking multiple job offers. So they're formally accepting multiple jobs. So that this helps explain the very high no-show rate in ski towns. And that 25% figure goes up to 39% when they are getting their job leads through social media. So if you're recruiting through social media, you've got to expect a much higher no-show rate than if you're recruiting through things like word of mouth or using a recruitment firm. The the no-show rate with social media is enormous.
Yeah. It's bad. Yeah, keep on trucking, man. Go for it.
All right. Excellent. Entry-level workers are more likely to show up than skilled staff, and we think this is the result of people trying to fake it till they make it. Our previous survey showed that a very high percentage of people are not qualified for jobs, and they're still applying. And when push comes to shove, they're taking the option of the job that they can do rather than the skilled job that they're going to get caught out on. So that's why we think there's a very high no-show rate for skilled positions. Having said that, if once you get somebody in a skilled position, they're much less likely to leave mid-season. They're more likely to stick it out and last the whole year.
Yep. Yep. That's tricky when your hiring mix is off, like your timing, and then finding replacements for people that don't show up. I mean, it's not good. And I think the thing that's pretty glaring here is obviously we're not going to mention names, but for example, Ian, you just hit up a local employer there. And when we reached out to approach them about, hey, we have a better option, a better platform, time to pivot, try something new, their response was they were quite satisfied. So, uh, yeah, we're going to keep knocking on doors and kicking them in, trying to get people to think differently about this. And the surveys are backing up what we're saying. So it's not rocket science. You just have to open up to a little change.
Well, in that particular case, our survey results show that employers rarely find replacements,
Yeah.
skilled staff if they don't show up. And this particular employer was just desperate for chefs all season, and they were running really, really expensive ads everywhere. And feedback from guests at the resorts tend to indicate they didn't find any chefs. I mean, it's yeah. You look at the reviews of this place, and they're quite scathing because people have paid big money to go on a dream ski trip, and they're getting very poor service.
Yep. It's not good. Well, Ian, if I'm an employer, what the hell do I do? What are your recommendations, man? What do I need to do?
First thing is start your hiring earlier. I mean, the standard of employee late close to the season, still looking for jobs is very, very poor. You've got to align with when people are looking for work. Uh, and January is a really good time for Northern Hemisphere businesses to be applying for summer. I'll give you an example in Canada. So in Canada, the visa pools for working holiday visas closes in December. It reaches a natural end in 2024. They reopen in 2025 in January. We know that seasonal workers on working holiday visas will often start their job search when they're making their application for the visa and also when they get the visa. So there'll be a surge of people looking for work in Canadian and US city, US and the USA in February when the visas start coming through. So you really need to be starting your hiring process in now, basically. And the same goes for the Southern Hemisphere winter. You really want to be hiring earlier when people are actually looking for those jobs.
Yeah. And the down undoes might. The down
Oh,
undoes.
don't do those accents, mate, because it's terrible. It makes me sad.
God. Well, it is directed at the Aussies this time, but you know, are you guys really gonna hire late again, mate, on Facebook?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, you got to learn from the mistakes of the past. If you're going to Facebook late, like you did last year, you can't really expect different results. Um, it's it's
Yeah.
it's painful to watch.
Yeah.
It's um
It is hard to watch. It is. But that next one really chaps my arse, man. When because we've seen it so many times, just the misalignment in the marketing and the just the imagery when you're selling, we always harp on selling your destination, not selling the job. And I think you always have said it best that look, people aren't flying from New Zealand to Vail to make coffee, or clean rooms. We all know they're doing a job, whatever that might be. But you got to give them the image, man. Give them the lifestyle. Show them what your destination has to offer. Why are they flying halfway around the world? Well, it sure as heck fire isn't to make for flipping coffee. You can do
yeah.
that down the
I'm,
street.
I'm going to go back to the I spoke to a guy in Hakaba who was offering a barista job, and he was showing a picture of his coffee machine. That's what up here, right here. That's what they're interested in. Don't use that photo instead of a photo of a coffee machine.
Yep.
When you're trying to attract staff, it's really simple, but a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of chapped arses, I may have misspoken because the next one actually is probably higher on my list. Um, I have a theory in hiring and onboarding new staff. So this has to do with your onboarding. Is you got two options when you hire someone. You either take them down the path that's well communicated, thought out, it's well laid out, and it's very clear, or those people find their own path. And that generally, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Might be a good path, might not be. But you need to be intentional. Take the people on the journey. What pathway do you want them on? Where do you want them to go? What do you want them to learn and see and do? Don't just leave it up to chance or potentially them getting in with your disengaged employees. Have a flippin' plan for onboarding and take them down the path you want them on.
I'm going to jump in on onboarding too, because like our survey showed, the average person in the ski industry, and this goes to other outdoor industries as well, has had three offers. If you go to a new place of work for a season and the onboarding's shoddy and shambolic, they can quite simply jump ship and go to a different employer. They've had the job offers. So
Yep.
make sure when somebody comes to your business, they're shown a good path.
Well,
Really
it's
important.
even, well, in the survey, flipping tells you that. These people are getting multiple offers. They have other opportunities. So if the path is full of potholes and half-baked asphalt, they're going down the road, man. And these are young people. They're flexible, they're malleable, they can pivot on a dime. And quite frankly, they can go wherever they want and work.
Yeah.
It's,
And there's very little loyalty when they first show up to a job.
right.
You got to build that.
Yep. So yeah, why don't you address the last one?
Yeah, we've what we saw. I'd love to get employers to understand that you can have a platform that's either free or convenient. You can't have both, except for with us. We do charge a little bit occasionally, but if you're using social media to recruit staff, it's free at the start, but the costs kick in later, and they are substantial. And yeah, we're just requesting that employers sit back and carefully evaluate some of the stats that are coming out of our survey. Do the survey, get the stats, and then evaluate where they're at. It's because it's currently not working very well.
Yep. Well, I think that about does it for our 2024 wrap up. I want to go ahead and take a minute, tell our outdoor adventure community Happy New Year. Have an awesome 2025. If you can, well, not if you can, I know you can, but your mission, should you choose to accept it, and I hope you do, is go take these surveys because we're just going to keep pushing this out. And as I said before, knocking on doors and kicking them in when we need to and try to make a difference here. So get with us and help us get these survey results out there. We just need to keep building up those results.
Yeah, let's make 2025 the year of better, more targeted hiring.
Right on. Well, this is going to conclude season 2. Thanks everyone for following along. We'll see you next season. We'll be kicking off season 3 here in a week or two, and we look forward to catching you on the flip side. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.